This
Introduction.
conference will now be recorded.
Okay. And recording it. Everybody knows pretty well, so what I'm going to just do is I'm going to read off a list of the people that I see are here. And if I miss anybody, you don't need to say aye or anything. And one thing I do have to announce is that we are conducting this meeting by Governor Baker's rules for COVID-19, suspending some parts of the open meeting law. So, with that said, I'm going to just state who's here. If I miss him, just let me know. Brad Harris, Glenn Eaton, Jason Stanton, Alan Pease, Amanda Reed, Bill Lefke, Chaz Sexton, Dean Valier, Stacy Donahue, George Cahill, Guy Corbisier, myself, Holly Ford, Jeff Bennett, Jessica DeRoy, John Telepiak, Karen Chapman, Linda Quinlivan, Rick Ward, and Robert Schwartz. Did I miss anybody? If not, we'll move on to the next item, which is, guess what? Okay, is the approval of May 5th, 2022 MRPC minutes. You did receive the notice of the minutes being posted, and I'm not sure if you did receive them, but they are on the website. Do I have any additions, subtractions, corrections on these from anybody? Not hearing, and I'll entertain a motion to accept as printed.
I'll make a motion. This is John Tlepsiak. I'll make a motion to accept those minutes as printed.
Okay,
I'll
very
second.
good. Thank you. And I think that was Robert Schwartz, if I'm not mistaken. Yes.
Right.
Okay, very good. Now, any other comments? If not, and I didn't mention it, as by the rules, all votes have to be done by roll call for these type of meetings. So if I call the main person and the alternate because I don't have my list here, please just forgive me. Alan Pease.
Abstain.
Okay. Amanda Reed.
Abstain.
Bill Lefke.
Aye.
Chaz Sexton.
Aye.
Dean Valier.
Aye.
Stacy Donahue.
Aye.
Jeff Bennett.
Yes.
Jessica DeRoy.
Abstain.
John Telepiak.
Aye.
Kyle Nartorwitz.
If I could just step in here for a second and just remind everybody, unless you're actively speaking, please mute your microphone because we're receiving a lot of background noise. Thank you.
Kyle Nartorwitz. Okay, if not, I'll move on to Robert Schwartz.
Aye.
Okay, very good. And Guy Corbisier, the chair votes aye. And they are accepted unanimously. Next item on the agenda is the cash schedule. Glenn, would you like to take this or would you like me to take it? I see our treasurer's not here tonight.
Our treasurer isn't here, but our fiscal director's here. Can we pass this to Linda?
Okay, very good.
Sure, absolutely. Okay, so the opening balances as of April 30th, 2022 was $715,271.85. The total cash receipts were $106,671.32. So the total cash on hand before this warrant was $821,943.17. All cash disbursements for this warrant was $103,340.63, leaving the May balance of $718,602.54. And I'm going to mute myself because my dog is barking. So that's it. Sorry.
It's a cute
Okay.
park.
Oh yeah, real cute.
Very good. Do we have any questions of Linda? If not, I'll entertain a motion to accept the report as presented, subject to audit.
So moved, Bob Schwartz.
Okay, very good. And a second?
Second, Alan Pease.
Okay, very good. Any questions? If I have no questions, then I will call the roll. And unless you're speaking, please mute yourself. Okay, very good. Alan Pease,
Aye.
Amanda Reed,
Aye.
Bill Lefke,
Aye.
Chaz Sexton,
Aye.
Dean Valier,
Aye.
Stacy Donahue.
Aye.
Okay, Jeff Bennett,
Yes.
Jessica Joy,
Aye.
John Telepiak,
Aye.
Kyle Notorowitz, I'm not hearing from him again.
Hey,
Robert,
Guy, if I
yes.
could just say something real quick. I'm noticing it looks like Kyle's not connected to audio with his connection, so I don't know really what's going on there or how to help him, but maybe I'll send him a message in the chat.
Okay, very good. I'll note that next time around and see what we can do. And Robert Schwartz.
Aye.
And not hearing our opposition, the cash schedule is accepted, subject to audit. Next item on the agenda is guest announcements and questions. And first item on this agenda, if you'll see on your handout, is George Cahill. George, would you like to take this?
Yes, good evening, Mr. Chairman. Thank you. I have several announcements. First one, MART Advisory Board meeting. The Board of Selectmen for the town of Phillipston has voted to petition to join the Massachusetts Regional Transit Authority, MART. And MART Advisory Board at their scheduled meeting on May 17 voted to accept the town of Phillipston as SMART member community. SMART region now are 24 communities. The second announcement I have is MART will be doing a rehab project at the Intermodal, Fitchburg Intermodal Transportation Center. They will be replacing the roof and the work will be starting September this year. Some impact will be on the public using the facility. The other announcement I have is MART Bus Shelters Grant. MART is being awarded $180,000 for shelters through the Shared Streets and Spaces program. under Mass DOT. For fiscal year 23, which will start October 1st, 22. MART will be installing bus shelters in Fitchburg, Gardner, and Atoll. And just last Friday, MART installed a new bus shelter in South Gardner at 75 East Broadway, but was under different funding program, which was 5307. And we installed it Friday, and Saturday was vandalized. We are working on fixing it. That was in South Gardner. The other announcement I have is Air Depot Square Pedestrian Plaza. The construction of Phase 3 of Depot Square Pedestrian Plaza, located at the MBTA station, has begun. The Phase 3 of the project is the restroom facility at the plaza. MART anticipate the completion of the project by the end of summer or early fall. And the other announcement I have is MAR Automatic Fare Collection System, GenFare system. The GenFare system is available now online for purchasing bus passes, and the mobile app will be in the App Store sometime this month. And of course, we are purchasing ticket vending machine. We will be installing them throughout the region on 2 different years. This year, this fiscal year, we'll be purchasing 6 ticket vending machines, and we'll install them in Atoll, Gardner, and Fitchburg. And next year, we'll get the other 6 vending machines. The app, the mobile app will have beside the fare trip planners, bus schedule, and service alerts. This is what I have, Mr. Chairman. If any question, I can talk about it. No
You're
question?
muted. You're muted, Guy.
There we go. George, thank you very much for that very comprehensive report. Do we have any questions of George? If not, again, thank you, George, and I'll move on to the next item. Item 5. The nominating committee will present a slate of proposed members of the executive committee. Who do we have to speak to this from the nominating committee? Or who will be speaking for the nominating committee?
John Telefsiak and Bob Schwartz were in the meeting at 6:30 with Holly and myself, Mr. Chairman. So I'm going to defer to one of them, and I think John is just unmuted. Thank you.
Yeah, I was having trouble unmuting. Yeah, I'll speak to that. We met earlier, 6:30, and we came up with a slate of officers for your discussion, and they would be as such: Chairman would be Guy Corbacero. Vice Chairman would be John Talevsiak. Treasurer would be Laura Schifrin. Vice Treasurer, Roger Hoyt. Unfortunately, the Secretary's position is still open. And we have 2 members at large. One, Peter Cunningham, and the other one is Robert Swartz. So that is our slate of officers. We can always fill in the secretary if someone were to offer their services. You get that, Guy?
Guy, you're muted.
Did it again. Okay. There's the slate of officers from the nominating committee. Then we can also take nominations from the floor if anybody would like to nominate themselves for that secretary position or any other position. I don't think anybody would have an objection to. Do I hear any nominations? Okay, very good. Then do we need a vote on this? Nominations?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, very good. First, we need a motion to nominate this slate that presented by the nominating committee, and then a second. So do I have a motion to present the slate as the motion to approve the slate as presented? Anybody?
Bill Alfke, so moved.
Okay, Bill Elfke. Do I have a second?
A second, Alan Pease.
Okay, very good. So we have a slate of candidates for next year's executive board. Any discussion on that? If not, I'll call the roll. To be in favor of the board as presented, Alan Pease.
Aye.
Amanda Reed.
Aye.
Bill Olfke.
Aye.
Charles Sexton.
Aye.
Dean Valier.
Aye.
Stacy Donahue.
Aye.
Jeff Bennett.
Yes.
Jessica DeRoy.
Aye.
John Telepiak.
Aye.
Kyle Nautorowitz.
Aye.
Okay, very good. He's with us. And Guy Corbacero, the chair, votes aye. So that rounds out our slate of officers, and it was voted unanimously to approve them for next year. Congratulations to everybody, if that's the word needed. Congratulations. Okay, move on to the next item. Let me go here. Okay, administrative matters. Fiscal update 6.1. Glenn, I think this is your area.
It is. Jason, could you scroll down, please, for the screen projection? Thanks a bunch. While Jason's doing that, Mr. Chairman, may I just offer something I told the nominating committee that I would state on the election of officers, that the role of serving as an officer on the executive committee is not heck of a lot more time consuming than what you're doing here right now. I just wanted to make sure that everybody was aware, and I'll do some more educational pieces, excuse me, between now and next season when we do this again. But the bottom line is, for example, the executive committee, as the executive committee of the Planning Commission, meets very sporadically. We met, I think, about 3 months ago We didn't meet during COVID. We might have met pre-COVID in 19, 18, or 17. So I just wanted to give you all a heads up as far as, well, what's really expected of me. As far as the folks who are the officers, you can obviously see the guys running the meeting. When our chairman Guy isn't running a meeting, then he and John work it out. If Guy's on the road, let's say, and John will pinch hit. The chairman probably has the most responsibilities. The chair of the MRPC serves on the Montezut Metropolitan Planning Organization, or the MMPO. So Guy gets to go to at least 2 of these meetings for MRPC and 1 for the MPO every month. And I think the time demands are the most on the chairperson. As far as secretary, the open slot that's concerned, I do want to state that what we ask the secretary to do is never take minutes or notes or anything like that. But occasionally, and I haven't had the need for 5 or 10 years, we ask the secretary to sign a document that says secretary's like a clerk corporate vote document that basically says, see attached the vote that the entity took the prior month or something like that. And I think that happens about once every 5 to 10 years. We used to do it more when we were more in the real estate business, when we were doing affordable housing. So I promised Bob Schwartz and John Telefsiak that I would say that. I neglected to above. And Mr. Chairman, I just want to make sure that I did say that for the record. So thank you for your indulgence. I appreciate that. Moving on to 6.1.1 FY22 budget amendment. Let me just bottom line this. Actually, if you could, Jason, if you'd be so kind to go to the top of the next page, and I'll read the resolution just so people can get a sense. Then I'll go over the table itself. But here's what we're doing: is we're doing a budget amendment. Be it resolved, the MRPC adopts the MRPC's budget amendment as presented above. And Jason, you can go back to the table, please, if you'd be so kind, to the top of that. So what we did in the very distant past, and I want to get back into the habit of, when we get to the end of our fiscal year, we follow the state and the municipal fiscal year, July 1 to June 30. So our fiscal year is 22. It'll end on June 30. The closer we get to the end of our fiscal year, we want to be more diligent about looking at what we appropriated in what internally we call sometimes our indirects or our administrative costs. I call this table non-salary office costs. The insurances, literally the rent, the electricity, office supplies. If it's not related to salary, typically it's in here. So as the very first, and I'm not going to go over every row and bore the heck out of everybody, but I want to hit some highlights if I may. And there are at least 2 or 3 themes in here. One theme is on the first line, as an example, employee Medicare. So we budgeted it last June for the beginning of FY22 that started July 1. We budgeted it at $16,000. Now, in that case, the Medicare bills came in. We have a certain balance left, which is slightly under the 15.5, but we decided to leave a little bit of a cushion because we know all the bills are in, but just in case there's another small one, we want to have some cushion. That the bill was in the $14,000 range. If people want numbers, I have them on my screen. I or Linda can give you more data. The theme here is to take the number in the first column in the original budget, look at our expenses through the year, see if we really need to maintain a budget that's that high. For example, unemployment insurance at $21,500. Our unemployment insurance went down this fiscal year, FY22. It was up in, I believe Max said it was up in 21 and up in 20, and it went down in 22. And in 2 years from now, it'll go up again, but not in the upcoming fiscal year. So we don't need, whatever the difference between 21,005 and 11,971.15, we don't need to keep in the budget anymore. So this is about better budgeting. It's about getting closer to zero, if you will. Well, you don't really have zero in all these cases because you had to pay some bills. The third row, just as an example, because it's a different example, employee moving expense. We have in our personnel policies, if we hire a staff person and they move from, I believe it's out of state or a certain number of miles outside of the address of the organization, there's a $600 check we can write to them for reimbursement of moving expenses. So let's say they come from Montana or New Hampshire or something. Well, we didn't hire any employees this year that needed to receive that benefit, so we don't need the money. So if we didn't spend any, and there's only 3 or 4 weeks left in the fiscal year, zero it out. Health insurance, I'm leaving alone. Retiree health insurance, that went up. We had a couple of people who are no longer on the payroll Two of them retired, so now we incurred some more costs for retiree health insurance, so we had to spend a little bit more money there. So the rest of these follow the same theme until you get down. Jason, if you would get down to, well, it's already on the screen. No, it's not. There's an equipment line item. I call it M&E or machinery equipment. It's probably not equipment rental, but below that. There we go. Thank you. So there's the story here, and every line item and every cost has a story. So the succinct story for equipment furniture purchase. We budgeted at the beginning of 22, 18 grand. We needed a new printer, copier, scanner, fax machine. Yes, faxes are still alive. So we budgeted 18 grand. I thought a year ago, because we bought the prior printer 8 years ago at about 15 grand, I put in 18 just to make sure we had enough. Well, the copier came in at 9612.86. We wrote a check and it was done. We're not incurring finance costs. I don't like to incur those. The difference between the 18 and the 9612.86 has been transferred into other line items. So if you see a difference, you don't have to move anything, Jason. But if you go to the top of that table right now, you'll see a difference. License fees is the line item. Budgeted originally at $4,100, but it came in. We had expenses in licenses of $6466.07. Okay, so we had. I always put a little extra in the equipment furniture purchase line item because it's toward the end of the year. You typically have to plan in case something might break, like a printer, copy, fax, or scan machine. And then if you have it at the end of the year, you balance these line items out. I do want to note that under subscriptions, which should be the second line you can see on your screen, $25,000 was budgeted, and we expended about $20,700 just to round off. This line item in 1999, 2000 used to be about $1,000. So in the old days, yes, I'm old. So in the old days, subscriptions were magazines and newspapers, and they still are. But now it's online newspapers. But we don't spend $21,000 on newspapers. Software is now paid through subscriptions, and we have a lot of software that we have to buy to allow the staff to use software, and that's why that budget has gone up so much in almost a quarter century. It's interesting to see how these things kind of work. The last thing I will say is that two last things I'll say. The third row up says interest expense line of credit, $500. I recommend it going down to zero. This organization has a line of credit. Our bank is Enterprise Bank and Trust Company. We work out of the Leominster office with their staff. And we do have a line of credit. We haven't had to hit the line of credit. Basically, a line of credit, as you all know, is to hit it if you have a cash flow issue. We haven't had a cash flow impingement since Linda Quinlivan was hired. So big kudos to Linda. We brought on Mac, and they manage this organization very well. And there are claps. I see Karen Chapman clapping, and the staff is very supportive of each other, and that's very nice to see. But the reality is that it's there. You need these things just in case to pay for the interest on a line of credit in case you have to borrow. The very last thing I will say is that the bottom line is FY22. We budgeted $466,174 and change, and we need to reduce and transfer so we can get down to our total line items in this overhead section of indirect costs for the public record, $433,638. So we're saving about $33,000, just a little, maybe $32,500. So it's about better budgeting, better accounting, and this is the budget amendment that we want to propose tonight, and ask you respectfully to approve the numbers as presented. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
I remember to unmute. Okay, thank you very much, Glenn. So you have a resolution here you'd like them to vote on, correct?
It's just below the table, so it's on the top of the next page,
Right.
which I think is the top of page 5. If Jason can scroll down just a little bit for us, Jay.
Okay, be it resolved that the Montechusett Regional Planning Commission hereby adopts the MRPC's FY22 budget amendment as presented. Is that the resolution, Glenn?
Yes, sir.
Okay, very good. Would somebody like to move that resolution?
Bob Schwartz moved to adopt the resolution as presented.
Okay, very good. And a second?
Second, Alan Pease.
Okay, very good. Thank you, Alan. Do we have any questions in regards to this? Not hearing any. I'll call the roll. Okay, very good. I'll start again with Alan Pease,
Aye.
Amanda Reed,
Aye.
Bill Olkey,
Aye.
Charles Sexton,
Aye.
Dean Valier,
Aye.
Stacy Donahue, Stacy.
Aye.
Okay, very good. Guy Corbisier, the chair votes aye. Jeff Bennett,
Yes.
Jessica DeRoy,
Aye.
John Telepiak,
Aye.
Kyle Notowitz,
Aye.
and
Aye.
Robert Schwartz
Aye.
and Roger Hoyt.
Aye.
I spilled over that one a little bit, but and it is passed unanimously. Back to you, Glenn, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes, sir. Thank you very much. So we've cleaned up FY22, and now it's time to respectfully request the adoption of the FY23 budget. So I have to read a little bit more than I did before. So for the opening paragraph, historically, basically what we do for the upcoming fiscal year, we estimate our revenue to be lower and our expenses slightly higher. And that's how I define a conservative budget by going forward. I want to stop there by saying very quickly that other regional planning commissions propose budgets that show you revenue, expenses, and there's a zero at the bottom of every contract, and they have a zero-based budgeting style. We don't do that. This is a plant for a seed for a future meeting on, do you want this budget to change to a zero-based budget? That basically means that right now on June 9th, on paper, we know every expense is going to come out exactly as it's planned, revenue and expenses. Now, I've never seen that happen, but accountants like that. In our audit every year, our auditor has a sentence that says you've overestimated or underestimated your revenue or expenses. So that sentence will stay in there. And basically, it's a, I've got the bullseye on my forehead. That sentence is targeted at me because I'll either overestimate or underestimate. But I believe in a conservative budget by underestimating revenue, overestimating expenses. Nothing comes down to zero because that's not how it works in real life. Okay, we'll come back to that in the future. But by doing so, I do believe the agency will not be caught in a trap of overestimating our earnings or incurring unnecessary expenses on staff or office costs in the new fiscal year. The same is true for FY23. Highlights of the budget are the follows. Jason, if you scroll down just a tad, please, we'll get the top row there, A, to show. So total projected revenue, $1,503,000. So right now, in FY21, the FY22, the years that are about to end, we've got about $1.7 million or $1.8 million budget. But I've got a 1.5 million projection going forward. Well, why? Well, one reason is we had 2 department head positions that were in the budget in FY21 that were not in the budget in FY22. That was Administrative and Human Resources Director and Transit Projects Director. So that was a net to us for FY23 going forward and somewhat in FY22 of about $177,000. So that's almost 200. So you can see obviously a big delta between 1.7 or 1.8 million down to 1.5. We categorize our funds, and the auditor likes to categorize our funds by federal, state, and local. I go a little step further, and I go by nonprofit and then miscellaneous. So federal funds of a little over 977, almost $978,000 this year. I'll talk more about that down below. That's mostly there's about and Brad will give you the detail to the penny. And Brad, if you want to chime in later, please do. But the MassDOT contract's going up by 6 figures. I'm just saying it's about $200,000 just to get through the summary. But if people want to ask, Brad will give you the number. The US EDA grant, about 70. The EPA Brownfields is a grant that's ending by September 30. We've got a few bucks left to spend. State funds of about just a little under $402,000 under district local technical assistance and PAGs or planning assistance grants. REPA, if you want to know what that means, you can ask Karen later. In green communities. Local, $87,401. Community assessments of about $85,000. And then we do have a contract with Leominster. Thanks to Karen for bringing us this $9,000 contract for zoning. The amount is up to $9,000. I like to be conservative because What if we don't do 9,000? What if we only do 2? I just threw in 2. It's arbitrary. We might do 9,000. We might do 8,999. We might do 47,32. It's just a conservative low number. Nonprofit. The last 10 years, we've been diversifying our revenue streams by delivering services to nonprofit organizations such as hospitals and others. So I have a category in my world for nonprofits. Right now, we have a nonprofit, a contract with Growing Places. And as I sit here in the office, they're in the red house over here on the Doyle property. And they're hiring us, the planning and development staff, to do help with the establishment of a food hub to do SWOT and SOAR analyses. Miscellaneous, 10 grand. And it's a small amount of money, but this is really a big deal for us. We have about $250,000 in program income from a U.S. EPA revolving loan fund loan we made to a client in Clinton. That money's been building up. We are, hang on just a second. Something just popped up and I just wanted to minimize. Apologies. What I want to do is we have a loan policy we adopted just before COVID. And I want to put that on the street. What's that basically mean is market the $250,000 to make a loan or loans. Now, if we do that, if we make a loan of, let's say, $100,000 out of the $250,000 we have in the bank, then the US EPA allows us to use 10% of what we're going to make in a loan for what they call programmatic costs. It's admin. I can't use the admin when the EPA people are in the room, but they call them programmatic costs, but that pays for our expenses. So if we make a loan, then we can pay ourselves a little bit of coin to help do that. Jason, would you scroll down to expenses, please? Item B. So if we're looking at about $1.5 million in revenue on the conservative side, total projected about $1,732,000 on the high side, a total projected deficit as of this date of about $228,000 or a little over $250,000. I always like to project a deficit so you know what we're looking at versus zero-based budgeting. Again, refer to my earlier comment of about 13.2%. And I will conclude on item D on this part by saying two things. Just one thing. Item D, the projected overhead rate at about 133%. The current overhead rate's about 125%. When I took people out of the direct side in the salary table, your overhead goes up. So if we're able to get more income and hire more direct planners that'll charge directly to contracts, then the overhead goes down. Jason, would you make that paragraph a little higher on the screen, please? At the time that the MRPC's budget's adopted each June, normal to show a projected deficit. It's basically the reason that we don't have all the contracts that are needed to pay for all the expenses that have been secured by this point in time. The auditor's rule for us is if we are 90% certain that a proposed contract or a proposed grant will come into the organization, then what we can do is include it in the budget. And we'll go to the budget in just a second, and I'll show you a couple of tables at the end of this narrative. But I don't put in things that I really don't believe we have at least a 90% certainty of receiving. The reason, okay, so normally a deficit of under 20% can be overcome through the fiscal year with the aggressive pursuit of funding for services completed by all the non-admin personnel. New contract opportunities include new planning assistance grants, the amount of $60,000. You'll see that in the table later, and a state grant to Leominster. Jason, could you go to the top of the page 6, please? For planning services, 25. So if those two things come in, we'll lessen the $228,000 deficit by about 85 grand, and that reduces our deficit down to about 143,000 or about 8.27%. And this is the practice. This is what we do. So if those two things came in within 3 months, you're in 2 to 3 months in the fiscal year, your deficit goes from 13 to 8, and then you still have another 9 months to get the deficit from 8 down to 0. There's plenty of time to do these things. Over 20% of a projected deficit at this point in time, I get nervous, and I tell you when I'm nervous. 25 is when I get nervous. 20 to 25 is when I start losing sleep. Quick budget strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, threats to follow. Strengths, we do high-quality services. We do have repeat customers. There's been a significant increase in the amount of the $200,000 in MassDOT. And I'm going to segue to Brad real quick. Brad, I'm off on the $200,000. Approximately what is that bottom line number that the MassDOT contract's going up about, roughly, sir?
Yeah, I'm just trying to pull up my spreadsheet. Basically, we went up about $128,000 from fiscal year 2022 in terms of our PL allocation on our FTA 5303 contract.
What was that, 128?
128.
Okay, so everybody put 128,000 where I said 200. I overestimated, okay? but it's not in the budget above, by the way. This is just in the narrative. Thank you, Brad.
Yep.
Very much. Appreciate the help. The third bullet under strength, the state finally gets the DLTA program, and it's funded at 3.3 million each year. There's always a move to get it up to 4 million. It got down to 2.8. I have yet to see it to go up to 4, but so far it's in there for 3. We'll see what happens. Weaknesses. Under COVID, we struggled, and I'm just going to put it right out there. So we had staff transitions in the middle of COVID, and we had some delays in delivering some services, and it's my job to go out there and make sure the clients that said, hey, what's up? There was a delay on that deliverable. Eaton, you got to fix things. So I'm working on that, but I believe in telling your board of directors what the hell's going on, the good, the bad, and the ugly. So I am working on it with several communities. It wasn't the majority, but it's something I have to attend to. A weakness in any government budget, we are a government entity. We are a regional planning district. We are a public body corporate. There's no quasi, all right? But we depend on local, state, and federal appropriations for operational costs. And the reality is that any government that depends on appropriations, there can be an over-reliance. That's why I've been harping for years about diversify the revenue, go after the nonprofit work, go after more local contracts, because towns, even though it's local, that's a business that we can always develop. So diversification is important with marketing and outreach. I did put $3,000 in the budget this year for outreach services that I'm going to go out and hit the bricks and be a salesperson, quite frankly. Let's see, the fourth bullet there is that I'm going to mute myself and cough. Hang on. Oh, my apologies. I'm so sorry. 2021 and 22 fiscal years, the communities hired us at a greater rate. COVID hit, phone rang off the hook, March of 20 to, let's say, spring of 20, and we get a lot of contracts. And you won't see that in the table this year because COVID hit, people were sitting at the desk and said, let's write a plan for that. Let's hire RMPC. So I've got to go out and recapture that business and make it repeat revenue. Let's see, opportunities. The agency, if you could scroll down, please, Jason. Agency will be able to deliver additional planning services with the extra funding of the 120 odd that Brad was talking about. We did weather a difficult staff transition. We lost 3 people at the department head level. We've had to make some adjustments to the workloads of several employees. We've hired some excellent talent. We really, really have. And then existing talent picked up a lot of work as well. But what we do have to, and I have to be conscious of, is some people have too much work. We're trying to get through that, still dealing with not backlog projects, but just trying to deal with contracts and get them done, get them pushed out the door so that we can take a breath, because I certainly don't want to have anybody burn out anyone on the staff. It doesn't matter who it is. I just want to make sure that we can get back to relative normal. The third bullet, there's a lot of words there to basically say that, we did some nonprofit work for a couple of hospitals. We're doing a food hub, SOAR and SWAT. Karen's leading that for growing places. The stuff in bold below that, and then I'll go to page 7. All employees are responsible for identifying new opportunities that will expand our services, bring in untapped sources of funding, and continue to diversify the revenue streams. Success and sustainability of both MRPC and MEC. Jason, please scroll down to the top of page 7. Depend upon the staff's commitment and diligence to go accomplish our goals. That's a politically correct way to say you sing for your supper and you gotta go get money. Last bullet, use the new funding of the outreach line into market abilities. I talked about that being a salesperson. Jason, if you scroll just a little bit, we'll try to pull all the threats up if we can. Future transportation budget could just as easily be reduced by the 120-odd thousand that Brad talked about in the future. So our organization should not overemploy new planners, but use existing human resources to deliver all planning services. I don't know what's going to happen, and nobody does. So in the budget, I put a position for a new planner and to eliminate the 2 part-time people that work under Karen. As of December 31st, you go every quarter and you figure out what your needs are and you balance the human resources needs with the money. But we've just got to move toward that. We'll see what happens. But you don't want to be over dependent on any one revenue source. That's critical. That can kill you. Let's see, and I kind of bleeding over to the second bullet. Planning development. They have 5 full-time planners, 2 part-timers. Part-timers are included in the first half of the budget. The third bullet. So we've had 3 people in planning and development for years. Sustaining 5 will just take a concerted effort. I believe we can do it, quite frankly. Karen and her people are go-getters. It's just what a team that we have in transportation and planning and GIS, and we've got some great talent here on the staff, and it's just such a joy to come back to work and see these people again, which will all be back in the office relatively soon. Sorry, staff. An entry-level planner has been included. I talked about that. The next bullet, lessening of pressing the flesh. I'm going to go press the flesh for people. I've talked about that. I won't bore you with that. There are issues that are beyond the control of the MRPC that may impact revenue and expenses in FY23 and beyond, i.e. the difficulty in finding qualified personnel. That's the great resignation, the great retirement, the great reshuffle, or the great whatever you want to call it. We have rising inflation. You're going to hear more about that in the salaries. The salaries that I'm proposing, supply chain shortages, Eastern European conflict, and other issues. There are some things that are out of our control, but we remain cognizant of what those issues are. We have to, because a hiccup in fuel supplies that creates a recession in Europe potentially next year could have a problem here. Shanghai just shut down today or yesterday. I heard on the Bloomberg this morning. I don't know the cases, but somebody gets a sniffle and they're shutting down Chinese cities and they're not producing products, which well, Glenn, you don't buy computers no, but there are ripple effects, and that means, can you sell? Raytheon's moving its headquarters to Virginia, so on and so forth. So Jason, can you go down please to the next section of this? That's the resolution, but Jason, if you could go to the FY, there should be an FY, no, not in this document. There should be an FY23 budget document.
All right, I'm going to share the Excel file, so I'm going to stop sharing this real quick. It just shows visually better. Is this it?
If you go to the top of that page, please, as I talk here with the mute button on.
I'm trying. It's not letting me.
Oh, you know why? Go to view, unfreeze panes. Sorry, I didn't unfreeze before I gave it to you. My apologies.
It's all good. Where is that? There it is. Nope, that's FY22. Oh, that's the FY22 budget update. Did I open the wrong one?
Yeah, I need FY23. Yes, sir.
Hold on a second.
No problem.
Oh, I guess I don't have that as a spreadsheet, so I will open up the Excel. I mean the PDF.
Cool.
Yeah, I don't have the FY23 in the commission meeting folder.
Let me send it over to you in 2 seconds, folks.
Well, no, I could just look at my email.
I think I sent it by email. If I didn't,
yeah,
that's okay. Mr. Chairman, if you want to let people go get a glass of milk or a cup of cocoa, that's a good time.
Just bear with me.
Well, I'll take your suggestion.
We are almost done.
Send it to me anyway, because I'm not seeing it here. I'm seeing a lot of FY22 budget updates, but I don't see an FY23.
Sent.
Okay. There we go.
Rock and roll. Can you go to the salaries tab, which is the second worksheet in, please? After you do your resizing. Thanks much. Okay. So I mentioned it at the February meeting when I did a draft budget. I mentioned it at least 2 other meetings since then. I mentioned it again tonight. I'm proposing a 5% increase for the staff versus the typical 2.5% and that's what you see. So I'll pick on myself. So I had, I think my current salary is about 112,000 and change, 300. It goes to 117,742. Proportional increase 5%. Everybody's treated the same. The reduction in the $177,000 that we saved, and the reduction in two department heads, more than basically pays for the increase. However, having said that, we always have to be careful about sustainability. Can we sustain increases? Why I've been mentioning 5% since February is because the data is driving my recommendation concerning the incredible increase in the consumer price index, also known as the cost of living index. I was looking at data today. The April 21 to April 22 for the Northeast or New England CPI went up 7.2%. The CPI in New England or the Northeast from 20 to 21 went up 3.9%. And the 5% is basically splitting the difference in between the two. Why do we choose the Northeast or New England CPI? That's what the commissioners voted to use as a benchmark or a litmus test or a backboard sounding board about 12, 15 years ago. So that's why we go there. Most of the RPAs, if not all of us, use that to find out what's going on. These are not cost of living increases. These are that's data that's helpful, but people are struggling. And it's not just about the consumer price index increasing, but it's also about staff retention. There are a lot of people moving in the great reshuffle, and I want to make sure that we can retain very good staff that we have a good bunch of talent on the in the budget on the payroll right now. On this salary sheet, I want to point out rows 20 and 21. Those are two part-time planners. We had 4 part-time planners at the senior planner level in some of FY20 and a lot of FY21. We reduced, well, one self-terminated, the other one we didn't need because funding reduced, and his job was done. About a week ago, rows 20 and 21 in column B, I had both of these part-time planners, Megan and Jen, their first names, Donahue and Bernie, respectively. I had them at about twice that $19,000 figure. It was almost 40. I cut them in half because we have to have them get their work done and then transition out of that. We don't need to spend, $80,000 for the fiscal year, but 2 part-time planners. We only need 40 or 38 and change or 39, whatever it is. So within the budget, I'm trying to make cuts and calculations and so on and so forth. I want to point out something else. The new planner position, row 18, it's at an entry level there of about 47. It could be lower. It could be 45. It could be 3. I just plugged in a number that was similar to 2 other planners that we have. That's a position that we may or may not fill. I don't know. It depends on how much revenue we get in. So there are basically things that are built in here that have already cut back on some. That could be cut. That could be theoretically higher. It depends on the revenue that comes in and the services you have to deliver. And they all have to. It's a seesaw. I always use the seesaw analogy. We got to keep the seesaw level. If you would go back, Jason, to the budget tab or worksheet, I should use the right language. And if you want to squeeze that down, all we really need to see here is column C, D. Jason, just so you're aware, if you want to massage that spreadsheet, we don't need to see A and B. That's kind of accounting columns. And you can move it over. We don't need to see A and B at all. That's great. That's great. I think that's fine. Thanks. So these are the numbers that I summarized in the narrative. I'm not going to go over these again because I think we all want to get Eaton to stop talking. So this is the revenue side. Jason, you can scroll down slowly. Federal is first. You can see MassDOT there, EPA. The DLTA, where that says is second, is state. You can scroll down to row 24 to row 27 is some local, and there's a state contract in there or two. Row 31 is the $10,000 for the admin programmatic cost for revolving loan field. You saw the $1.5 million that was in the narrative. Let's keep scrolling down to rows 37 to 41, 37 to 40. These are just summations of what do we spend total direct salaries. What does that mean if you're planning, you're charging directly to a contract? Total direct expenses. What does that mean? That means, as an example, Brad's traffic counting equipment and the MassDOT contract is bubbles up that 34,618. he has 5,000 or 6,000 to spend on traffic counting repairs and traffic counters. The indirect salaries, that's mostly that's the admin team. Indirect leave time has decreased over time. We eliminated the comp time benefit. We work on a banked time system now, so we've reduced our liability in this area, reduced our costs. Cash matches, these numbers from 43 to 47. So we're going to earn about $85,000 this summer by all of you wonderful people writing us checks from your treasurer's office to pay your assessments. We take that 85, we use it to leverage or match against grants, and we try to double or triple or quadruple those dollars that come from the communities. Right now, you can see the matches they're going against the SEDS and the DLTA programs for a total of about 27,000 and change. Let's go down to 50. Jason, please put that on the top of the screen. So if you remember the amendment in FY22, this is all the line items. This is where the world that Linda, Mac, and Holly and I live in a lot to pay the office rent and all that stuff. And we'll end on that. Jason, could you go down to the bottom of that area of overheads, get down to all those line items, and there should be a summation for the total expenses line item. Okay, very good. Total indirect, total expenses, the 1732, you saw that in the narrative. Estimated surplus deficit, you saw that number with the 13.2%. Jason, scroll down, you'll see a table A and a table B just below this particular section, maybe 20 rows down or so. Okay, now could you go to the left and show columns A and B? And then just scroll so the yellow goes down, and we'll go to table A right there. So that's perfect. That's a summation of the municipal revenue, the 85 that comes in, the 27,875 that's matched, available cash match. That's what we can use to leverage other projects. Table B. So these are scenarios that basically say, what if we get new money? So if you could scroll down, so payroll 111 is at the top of the screen, please. And I'm almost done. So while Jason's scrolling down to get 111 on the top, basically what this says is...
Sorry, I had to get my power cord. Where am I scrolling to?
Could you make row 110 at the top of the screen, please? No worries. You get a power issue, Take your time. We don't want you to lose power. If you lose power, I think we're all sunk.
Okay, 110.
Okay, that's great. Thank you. So Karen diligently worked on several planning grants, planning assistance grants to help some of our communities. The grant is pending. If that comes in for 60 grand or several, then our deficit would be reduced from the 232 to 168. Row 115, Leominster applied for a grant of $25,000. If they get the grant and if they engage the MRPC, our deficit gets reduced to another 143. Now, Jason, could you make column D appear a little bit? If you could just scroll to the right, if you will, so we can see the math. So that 13% deficit could be reduced to 9.7, could be reduced to 8.27. And I think those grants are going to come in. And then beyond that, I get into the realm of fantasy, and I don't want to fantasize about what's going to happen. So we're pushing it down to about 13 something, down to a little bit less than 10. And that's our job. That's what we want to do. We want to go get the money, deliver the services, push the deficit down, move forward, and deliver good services. I believe that, Jason, if you could go back to the handout itself, and I think we need the resolution, because that takes care of everything. I apologize. It takes about a half hour or 40 minutes to do this, but it's very important. I want to make sure that all commissioners know what's going on. I apologize for those of you that have heard this speech for 15 years in a row, but we have some brand new members here also, and everybody needs to know this is very important stuff. So I thank you for your time. Be it resolved, the resolution MRPC hereby adopts the MRPC 23 budget as presented. Mr. Chairman, turn it back to you. Thank you very much.
Okay, very good. Glenn, resolution. Do we have any questions of Glenn first on his presentation, the budget? If not, Glenn already read the resolution. Do I have anybody that would like to move it?
Well, I have a question first.
Okay, very good.
Alan Pease here. Just exactly what are we voting on? That spreadsheet that Jason presented?
Yes, you're essentially voting on the salaries in that salary table at those levels for everyone, and the narrative in this handout that summarizes that. I mean, yeah, you're voting on the spreadsheet. For spreadsheet, the first tab which says budget and the second tab that says salaries. That's the vote. Yes, sir. Thank you for asking.
Okay, and so we haven't actually received that spreadsheet. That was something that you just sent over to Jason, correct?
I just sent it over to Jason and presented it tonight as an electronic handout, right?
Okay, is that something you could send on to us as well, please?
Oh, of course. It's a public document. Anybody can see that. Sure. Holly, would you make a
I'll
note?
put it in the folder for the I'll copy it to the folder that we shared for tonight's meeting with the meeting docs in it.
Perfect.
Okay, I appreciate that.
Thank you.
Okay. Any other questions? Not hearing any, I'll entertain a motion to pass the resolution.
Bob Schwartz moves that we adopt FY23 budget as presented.
Okay, very good. Second?
Yeah, I'll second that, Alan Pease.
Okay, very good. One more time, any questions? If not, I'll call the roll. Okay, we'll start it with Alan Pease.
Aye.
Amanda Reed.
Aye.
Bill Olfke.
Aye.
Chaz Sexton.
Aye.
Dean Valier.
Aye.
Stacy Donahue.
Aye.
Guy Corbisier, the chair votes aye, and Jeff Bennett.
Yes.
Jessica DeRoy.
Aye.
John Telepiak.
Aye.
Kyle Nartowicz.
Aye.
Okay, and Robert Schwartz.
Aye.
Roger Hoyt.
Aye.
Okay, and if that's everybody, it is accepted, passed unanimously. Okay, you don't have anything else, do you, Glenn?
You know, I'm not going to like this answer, but I do.
Okay,
it's not
very
on,
good.
not on
Oh,
budget.
yes, I see. I'm sorry, yes.
Yeah, Jason, could you scroll down, please? Okay, I mean the following in fun. If Jason's watching the Red Sox while he's doing this, I just want him to share the scores. That's all I'm asking. So thanks, Jay. Appreciate it.
Who watches the Red Sox?
I'm with you. I don't even know who the Red Sox are.
Okay, that was your break time. All right, so, okay, the bottom line is that, in a way, I can't believe it, but we moved in 5 years ago, this coming June 26th. We moved from the Regional Transit Authority building, we moved the office to this facility at 464 Abbott Avenue, owned by the Trustees of Reservations at the Doyle Center or Doyle Conservation Center. We had a 5-year lease with a 5-year option to renew. The lease requires that there's a termination clause in there or a renewal clause. You have to notify the landlord prior to in advance of 90 days. So I emailed them in mid-March, which was about 120 days, whatever it was. We talked about the lease. The bottom line to the lease agreement, and I'll show you a couple of excerpts in just a second, is that at the time we paid when we entered, I think it was $5 or $6 a square foot. For those of you that nerd out on commercial leases, we have about 6,000 square feet here, and we paid, I think, in FY21 about $40,000 for rent and electricity. The per square foot lease cost is going to go up to about $7.60 per square foot, including electricity, and we're going to have a flat monthly payment for rent and electricity. In the past 5 years, we've been paying rent separate from electricity, which has been volatile and worse. In the most recent fiscal year, we spent over $40,000, close to 43, 45, 46. I don't have the number right in front of me, I apologize. But it's getting closer to what we're going to pay, a flat rate for the next 5 years the same amount. Jason, would you scroll down, please? Okay, this, I just excerpted this right out of page 1 of the lease. Pretty much the main terms and conditions are, not all of them obviously, but the key ones are here. Year 1, year 2, year 3, year 4, year 5 equates to fiscal 23, 24, 25, 26, and 27 to pay $46,800 per year, no escalation in cost, where the electric is wrapped in, and basically it appears to be locked in at a certain rate. Basically, the gentleman I'm dealing with is John Economo, and he looked back at 5 years of data, figured we were paying about $900 a month on electricity, $850 to $900, and basically he's including our electric for the future at about $1,100 a month. I can respect where the TOR is coming from. I don't have an issue with it because of the volatility in the fuel prices that are happening. Yes, there is solar here, but yes, they also, use fossil fuels to HVAC the facility, cool and heat, so on and so forth. So solar doesn't pay for everything. And actually, they have to pay a cost for the solar. I don't understand it, but they do have to pay a fee. The roughly, don't hold me to it, but roughly for this Class A office space in this Leominster, in this North County area, you pay about $20 to $30 per square foot for leased office space, plus, or triple net, plus all the, I don't know if I said that right, but plus all the utilities. So our rent would be a lot higher if we were somewhere else. That's the bottom line. I'm asking for authorization. If Jason, you would scroll down, please, to, I think the resolution is just below this, that hash line. Recommends approval of the lease agreement, respectfully request approval to sign the lease with the TOR pending legal review. I just got this lease today. I asked for March. We met 3 weeks ago, and he got me the lease today only because his lawyer, the TOR's lawyer, who's in Turkey with his Turkish wife, got back to him. So that's the backstory. Be it resolved, MRPC hereby approves of the request of the ED to execute a commercial office lease agreement with the trustees of reservations based on the conditions as presented to the commissioners in the above report, and that includes pending legal review. I just got this. I didn't even have a chance to send it over to legal. So it's got to go to legal. I want to make sure it's okay before I sign this. I'm not a lawyer, and we have a legal budget for a reason. That concludes, Mr. Chairman, my report and my request. Thank you for your time.
Okay, very good, Glenn. Do we have any questions of Glenn on this? No, I think it's a pretty good deal. So I'd like somebody.
This is John Talopsiak. I'd like to move the resolution. This is John Talopsiak.
Okay, very good, John. Resolution moved as printed along with the addition that Glenn added, coming from the lawyer today. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Okay,
Bob Schwartz.
Bob Schwartz seconds it. Again, any questions?
Cheap money for what we're getting.
Very definitely. If you don't want to rent it, I will. Okay, very good. Actually,
We could sublet you a room.
it sounds like a deal. Okay, I'm going to call a roll. Alan Pease.
Aye.
Amanda Reed.
Aye.
Chaz Sexton.
Aye.
Dean Valier.
Aye.
Stacy Donahue.
Aye.
Guy Corsaro, chair votes aye. Jeff Bennett.
Yes.
Jessica DeRoy.
Aye.
John Telepiak.
Aye.
Kyle Nartowitz.
Aye.
And Robert Schwartz.
Aye.
And Roger Hoyt.
Aye.
Okay, if that's everybody, if the resolution's passed unanimously. Glenn, anything else before I go on to department updates?
No, sir. Thank you.
Okay, very good. The last item here is department updates. Do we have anything from the GIS department?
No, I have no updates to this at this time.
Okay, any updates from planning and development?
Yes, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, very good, Karen. Go right ahead.
So two things. First, I apologize. I forgot to send Holly the grant opportunities document before the meeting. It's now in the folder if you want to look at it. There's several new grants in there. The second thing is an update on MBTA communities. I spoke to Chris Clutchman from DHCD. She's the Deputy Director of Community Services Division. We talked on the phone about how we were doing with our communities and how many of our communities were looking for assistance and, general stuff about that. And she said that DHCD expects the final guidelines to come out in June or July. And then they're developing a tool for GIS analysis to calculate unit capacities and areas. And they're working on a model bylaw, and those two things should be out in the fall. And then the determination of request for determination of compliance and the action plan that are required by the end of this year will be an online form, so it'll be simpler for them to track who's doing what. To date, all of our communities currently comply with the requirements. And I suggest to the communities that we have technical assistance contracts with that we wait until the final guidelines come out in June or July before we move forward. We are doing some little separate things for the communities, for MBTA communities. But generally, we'll wait till the final guidelines and then really get into helping you to comply. That's all I have. Thank you.
Okay, great. Any questions of Karen? If not, we'll move on to transit and transportation.
I just have one handout that was for everyone. Jason, I think you have it. You just show it. It relates to the Northern Tier Passenger Rail Study that's being undertaken by Mass DOT. They're having another working group meeting coming June 22nd. So the information's there on the this newsletter that they put out on the current status of the study, and links are also there for registering for the public meeting. It'll be an online meeting also. This handout is also on our website under news and announcements. So if you want to, you can go to our homepage and click on the announcement for the Northern Tier Passenger Rail Study, and you can use the links there to go directly to register. And that's all I have.
Oh, great. Thank you very much, Brad. Okay, any questions of Brad? If not, I'll move on to new business as the next item on the agenda. Anybody have any new business they'd like to bring up? Not hearing any, then we move on to item 9, which is, yes?
Sorry, I got a quick question for Karen.
Sure, Stacy.
Planning board and sure. I was supposed to check on the DLTA grant status update for Harvard was looking for a master plan update to our transportation chapter, and we haven't heard anything. And we just wanted to see when we might be seeing an update or a
Thank you, Stacy. I was out of the office today, so
yeah.
So I will talk to Jonathan tomorrow and find out what the status is.
Okay. Okay. We just have some members of the boards that are flipping over at the end of June, so we want to make sure that we'd like to have at least a little something so that way there's like a clean handoff as board members flip over.
I'll get back to you tomorrow morning.
Okay.
Thank you
so much.
Great. Thank you, Stacy. Thank you, Karen. Any other questions? No new business. So next item is, it's 8:15 and on the agenda says 8:15 adjournment. Does anybody have any objections to adjourning? Not hearing any, I'll call this meeting adjourned at 8:16 now. Thank you, everybody, for participating.
You all, good
Thank
night.